Hello everyone. You are at home with Glenda and I'm Glenda. And I want to thank you for joining me today. Today I thought I would come up and make a what is called a cat head biscuit. My husband and my family really like biscuits. From time to time I do splurge and I'll make them homemade biscuits. We normally do not buy canned biscuits, but today let's see if we can get those biscuits to going. I will measure. I don't have a recipe, so I'm going to try to measure out as I go to give you an idea as to how much and what I use. So now I have 2 cups of flour, and I don't think it's all going to fit in there, but and I sift my flour. This is a, well, sifter I've had for years. And and honestly, this is the only pot or bowl that I make biscuits out of. Let's go with another cup of flour. And that was kind of a rounded cup. I guess in a way I'm making this video so that my girls will have this recipe in time if they ever want to learn to make biscuits. Instead of saying, well, you know, Mom never really showed me, or Mom showed me and I forgot. So they've got this. So this is going to be a total of 3.5 cups of flour. This is self-rising flour. That's all, well, that's what I use when I make my biscuits. I'm sure there's other flours that you can use and add salt and baking soda, but I've always used self-rising flour. Now I've got a 2/3 cup of Crisco measured out here, but I don't normally know how much I use, so I'm just going to kind of pull out what I think I would normally use. Oh, and by the way, I have totally sanitized my counter. I work straight on my counter. I've wiped it down good, and then I sprayed it with Lysol, wiped the Lysol off, and then wiped it down good with a clean rag. So that's 2 good plollops. Let's go a little more. So it's not quite a complete 2/3. Now, I will be using regular milk for the liquid in the biscuits. There is a product that is, I don't always keep buttermilk in my refrigerator. It'll always ruin on me. There's a product out there that is buttermilk, cultured buttermilk blend. I know this is backwards, but I want to be able to see what you're seeing so that you will see everything. This has not been opened. This is a new container. I have another container that has been used out of. Now I've got measured out a cup of flour. Let me get some measuring spoons. That's one thing I did forget to lay out, because I like to try to have my things laid out. This I picked up when we were in the Amish country. It is a container of buttermilk powder, sweet cream. It says for 1 cup of water, add 4 tablespoons of powder equals 1 cup of buttermilk. Well, I use milk. Now I'm not sure how much milk I'm going to use. Just know that the powder will get a little firm on you, so you can just scrape it and continue to use it. But I'm going to put 2 tablespoons. I used to try to put it in my milk. Well, I finally read the instructions on the container and said, you know, you're supposed to add it to the dry ingredients. And anyway, it started working all right. It just gives the biscuits a different flavor. So that's a total of 2 tablespoons. I should have probably sifted that. I'll leave that sitting out in case I decide I need it again. Now, like I say, I've got 2 cups of, 1 cup of milk. I will try to cut up my Crisco. I use Crisco. That's the product I've always used. You know, I've tried other things. I used to make cakes, wedding cakes, birthday cakes, all that kind of stuff. Crisco was the product you used in everything, especially the homemade icing that you would decorate with. Anyway, I don't do that any longer. I guess I could, but it's just one of those things that you got to have a cake pan and this and that and everything. And I have sold, I would say 99% of my cake pans that I used to make. So like I say, I've got the Crisco in here. Might have could have used a little more, but I think we'll be all right. Let's put it this way. I hope so, because that's, you know what, I think I'm going to go ahead and get out the remainder of this Crisco. So that will be a total of 2/3 cup of Crisco. Don't have to go by my recipe. There are definitely plenty of biscuit recipes online nowadays. This is just, I mean, I don't use a recipe. You can see that this is a challenge for me to even come up with, okay, what did you use? Well, I'm just trying to give you an idea of what I'm using tonight. Everybody's different. Now, I don't know if you can see in the bowl. It's kind of crumbly. It's not a real crumbly. I know they say for pastry, you make it look like little peas. This is more floury, because I've got more flour in it. I'm not interested in pastry. I want biscuits. I want a bread. So make a little hole in the, and then just pour about half a cup of my milk in my flour and start slowly stirring till this gets mixed. I'll take the other half of the milk. It is cold milk. So that's a whole cup of milk, and we'll take more than a whole cup. Yep. Yes, it is. Yep. Let me measure out a little more milk. I left the milk out just in case. So I measured out another half a cup. Let's put about 1/4 a cup in there. See how it is. Now this is unbleached flour. Most flours out on the market nowadays, or have been for years, they were bleached flours. And I got to thinking and doing a little bit of research. When it says bleached, that means maybe one product that they use to bleach stuff with. And I said, I'm just not interested in bleached flour anymore. So I have started, even though I may have to pay a little more for it, I choose to go the expense of unbleached flour. So these biscuits may have a little touch of a yellow tint to them. And that is all right, because I don't really mind the coloring. I just think of what's in there. Now you can see it's a little stiff, but it's still a little gummy. It's gummy. My mother and everybody worked their biscuits with their hands. I have not got into that. I'm going to put me on some gloves because my nails are a little long and I don't want flour biscuits in my nails at this point. So anyway, I'm going to cut you off and I'll be right back with you. Alright, I'm back. And I got my gloves on. You can see I got one green one and one clear one. I run out of green gloves. I prefer the green. They are a little, I don't know, they are definitely food quality, food grade. But anyway, you use what you got on hand. Like I say, I have cleansed my counter, so I'm just putting my flour on my counter. I just sifted around a little bit. Uh-oh. Good thing I got a apron on, I guess. This is a rolling pin I have had for umpteen years. Don't ask me where them black marks came from. I don't remember. It was too long ago. So, let's get this dough out on the counter. Take my spatula. Try to get all this out. Because if you leave it in there, it might be one less biscuit. Like I say, these are what my husband likes. He calls them cathead biscuits. I think a friend of his, when we lived in Tennessee, called them that. And I was like, what the world's a cathead biscuit? Well, basically what it amounts to is the size. Uh-oh. Anyway, so I think I've got everything out. Wipe this spoon off. Dough's a little tough tonight. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's me or the weather or what, but it is what it is. We're going to deal with it. So I put a little flour on my biscuit dough, and I start kind of rolling. You see how it stuck in my hands? Should have floured my hands. Stuck straight to my hands, the gloves rather. And I start kind of rolling it over, kneading it a little. See why I didn't want to get stuck to your fingers. Just be aware of that. If you don't like messy fingers or have manicured nails, then definitely want to wear gloves. Not saying I got manicured nails, but I just didn't really want to have the dough under them tonight. Because after I get through with this, I've got to fry up some sausage and scramble some eggs. We're having a breakfast for supper tonight, which I think we all do that from time to time. So now I've got it looking, it's looking good. Just take this rolling pin. If you don't have a rolling pin, if you got a smooth glass, you can do that. I like my rolling pin because it whirls on the roller. Some of them don't. Now I have two. I'll show you the difference between cookie cutters. This is what I grew up with. This, matter of fact, I got lucky. I guess you say lucky. When my dad broke up housekeeping, we put dibs in on different things, and I wound up with the rolling pin that the biscuit cutter. I'll get it right in a minute. Biscuit cutter that my mother always used. Well, I'm gonna cut one cathead biscuit, leave it there, and I'm gonna go in the center. There we go. See the difference in those biscuits? That's why my husband likes the cathead biscuits. We're talking probably a 1/4 inch all the way around the biscuit. I'll save that for later. Now they say you're not supposed to twist or anything because it will cause the biscuit to not rise as good. I don't know. I kind of give it a little shimmy. And between each one, I'll reach over and do me a little dab of flour to kind of get flour. You can see this has been used. Cut out my biscuits. That's almost a full one. That'll be all right. And I always kind of do that. So if there's a cake of flour on the bottom of it, usually I have more flour on the counter, and knocks off any excess flour. So I can already see they're wanting to rise a little bit, which is good. I like to see them rising. I usually try to make biscuits at least once when my family's here. Sometimes I'll make what is called the cat head biscuits, and other times I'll make small biscuits because, you know, if you got 3 biscuits on your plate, and sometimes it doesn't matter what size they are. Okay, I think I'm going to have to scoop these a little closer. And you know, you're not, this is biscuits. So they don't have to be perfect, just reasonably round. Well, that's how we look at it. Now gather all this dough back up, mash it together, kind of use what flour I've got on the counter to rub again. And I'll take this and kind of work it in together. Now, you know, I may be doing something that somebody says, well, this ain't the way Mama taught me. You know, and that's okay. I can't say my mother taught me or any of my other grannies or anything. I guess I've just seen them do it enough to where I just kind of picked it up. And I first started out with the drop biscuits. I said, you know, I might not be able to cut biscuits out, but I can definitely make drop biscuits. That's just doing like what I did. In the green bowl, I mixed up flour, Crisco, and milk. I think back then I made myself use buttermilk. But I mixed up the flour and the milk, and they were juicier than what these were really. And I just put a big spoon of the biscuit mixture down on a cookie sheet or baking sheet, whatever, you know. And that's how I started. So, you know, you can, there's one, got a little bit of dough left. Always take that, especially if you got little ones. Sometimes I've had my kids, I want the little one this time, you know, and that's great. They learn when you do something, they learn to enjoy those. So you just take it, kind of roll it up, mash it together, mash it down, and there you got some biscuits. Okay, I'm gonna cook these, and I think I've got the oven on 400. And let's scoop this pan over to where you can see the biscuits. There's my biscuits for tonight. But like I say, I'm gonna cook these at 400. I'll put it on for 20-25 minutes at first. Probably should go really 425. I don't know. We'll see. But this is what I'm doing. Once they get cooked, and while they are cooking, I will be frying up sausage or bacon. I haven't decided which one. I've got both available. But probably sausage, and like I say, then I'll scramble some eggs. And I'll bring you back and show you the pan of biscuits after they've cooked. And then once again after we have our plate fixed. Not sure if I'll do gravy or not. It's kind of, we'll just see. So look, I'll see y'all in a little bit. Well, I'm back with the baked biscuits. They're looking good. I did wind up and bake them at 400 for 25 minutes. They could have maybe been a little browner, but I'll tell you what, they look good. The bottom's good, got a good color on the bottom and good on the top. They did rise sufficiently. So, yep, we're going to have a good supper. While they were cooking, I fried up the sausage and did up my dishes from doing the biscuits. Now I've got to scramble some eggs and make some milk gravy. Be back and show you the plate that we're having for supper. So y'all hang on. Well, now here's our supper tonight. Biscuits, gravy, sausage, fried eggs in the sausage grease, and homemade apple butter on biscuits. Well, this has been Glenda this afternoon. Hope you have enjoyed this. And thank you for watching. And if you watch the video, if you don't mind, please give me a thumbs up so I will know kind of who's watching. If you don't want to, that's okay. Eventually, I hope to put posts on YouTube. I'm just working in that direction. Again, thank you for watching. Have a great one.